Hi, this is Rabbi Tzvi Mandel of Congregation Kalbnei Yisrael, community of Jewish friends. And again, I have to thank all our good friends, especially our old friends, for their beautiful compliments. And Hashem should give us strength. A couple of great stories covered Erev Shabbos. So the great Reb Aaron Leib Miprimishlan was one of the closest students of the Baal Shem Tov, and his son was the famous Reb Meir Primishlana. And Reb Aaron Leib was a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, and then later on, after he passed away, he was a chassid of Reb Mechel Zlotcheva, and he didn't have children for a long time. And one day, he was such a great tzaddik. He was so righteous that Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, came to visit him and said, "Please, Rabbi Aaron Leib, can I study the Torah with you?" And Rabbi Aaron Leib looked away. He said, "No, I want to learn only with Hashem Himself." After this story, his wife started feeling not well. She couldn't give birth, and her whole body was like hurting us. So he went to her Mechel Zlotcheva and gave him a kvittel. He said, "Rebbe, what should I do? You know, my wife's not well, and we're getting older." So he said, "Go to the Rebbe Melech Lezhenska." The holy Rebbe Melech Lezhenska was very big. He wrote a sefer Naim Melech and Likutei Shoshanim. Go to him; he'll help you. So he tells his Rebbetzin, "Look, we have to go to the Rebbe Melech Lezhenska. So we'll go there for his Shabbos, but I'm telling you beforehand, me, I'm such a lowly person." He was so great, but he thought of himself as such. "Let's take along all the food that we'll need, because we'll probably wind up eating in the hotel room, in the motel room that we come, because a man like me, he's not going to allow into his house, and he won't even talk to me probably. And so I'm going because the Zlotcheva told me to go, but I have this feeling that we're going to wind up eating in the room." So he goes with his Rebbetzin, and they come Friday morning, and sure enough, the Rebbe Melech Lezhenska was busy getting ready for Shabbos, and he couldn't even get into him. Comes Friday night after the davening, and he goes back to his room and he says to his Rebbetzin, "Didn't I tell you? He didn't have time for me." And she says to him, "All right, so go to the Tish Friday night. All the Chassidim get together by the Holy Tish." Okay, so he went to the Tish, and he sat all the way at the end of the table, like to be out of sight, so to say. But of course, the holy eyes of the Rebbe Melech saw this great tzaddik. So he told the last guy in the back, he said, "Move up, let that man go in front of you." And he said the same thing to the next guy. Anyway, out of the 300 people, finally he got him to sit right next to him. And he gave him l'chaim, and the next day by all the meals, and came after Shabbos, and finally the Rebbe Melech allowed Rebbe Aaron Leib and his Rebbetzin to come in and write him a kvittel. He wrote him a kvittel, and Rebbe Melech Lezhenska said, "Yes, what is it that you want?" So he says, "I don't know. My wife has been very sick lately, and I don't know what." So he says, "Of course. What then? I'd be surprised if you could have any children anymore, because you're being punished from heaven, because you've killed someone." He said, "What? Who did I kill?" He says, "You killed Elijah the prophet. He wanted to study with you. And you said you have no time for him. You only want to learn with Hashem Himself. No, if you embarrass somebody, it's like killing him, right?" So he blessed him, and Baruch Hashem, thank God, he had a beautiful son, Reb Meir Primishlana, who also was one of the greatest Rebbes that ever lived. There's another story with the Heilig Reb Meir Primishlana. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather's brother, I believe it was the one who saved the Holy Rishna, took him out of jail. It's a long, long story. Maybe one time we'll talk about it. But how did it happen? How did he have the schus, the merit to do such a thing? The answer is he needed a certain Yeshua. He needed something. He needed a great tzaddik to bless him because there was something that they needed. So his wife said to him, why don't you go to a Meir Primishlana? It's known that he's a tzaddik with great Ruach HaKodesh, open prophecy. I'm sure he's going to help you. He knows all the neshamas of the generation. He went for Shabbos to Meir Primishlana. And the Holy Primishlana had a custom that the reading of the Torah on Shabbos morning took hours and hours and hours because every single person in the shul got an aliyah, received the honor of going up to the Torah and making a blessing. Also, with his open prophecy, his open Ruach HaKodesh, he stopped at a place that he stopped the reading. He would read the Torah himself, and he would stop the reading of the Torah temporarily and let the guy that got the aliyah, that went up to the Torah, let him make the blessing, and then told him something from the reading that has a connection with his neshama. Unbelievable. So my great-great-great-grandfather's, I think it was his brother, got an aliyah, and right away the Primishlana ended with the verse that ends with Yisrael, the name Yisrael, Israel. And he said, you, for your Yeshua, for your help that you need, you have to go do a chesed, help another Jew by the name of Yisrael. And Ayadu Sayyid, and that's some great Jew. I mean Rabbi Yisrael Vizhna. It's a long story. Rabbi Yisrael Vizhna was in jail because the Misnagdim said horrible things about him to the government, and so to make it short, he was a very strong person physically. He was very well built, and he was able to bribe the guards in the middle of the night when the guards were changing, and that's how he took out the Rishna from jail. And they crossed, there's a river, or then there was a river between Romania and Russia. They crossed this river, he was holding him, it's very short, it's narrow, but it's long. My father once showed me on a map, I forgot what the name of the river was, but I've seen it before on a map. And in the middle, the Holy Vision is yarmulke, his kippah, his skull cap fell into the water, so he didn't want to go any further. So he asked him to pick up the yarmulke and put it back on his head, and he says, I'll pick up the yarmulke, Rebbe, but I'm not giving it back to the Rebbe until he promises me what I need. So he smiled, he said, okay, give me my yarmulke, and when we'll come to dry land, I'll tell you exactly. And that's how he got his Yeshua that he needed. That's the Holy Primishlana, the Meir Primishlana, and the Eilik Rishna. Here's another story. There's a story with Reb Aaron Leib, the Primishlana, that was a Meir Primishlana's father, as we said, that someone once came to him. There was a chassid of his that Erev Pesach couldn't sell his chametz. He didn't know why, and he had a big wine and whiskey business that had to be sold before Pesach, because one may not have any unleavened bread or anything that's chametz. Whiskey has alcohol, anything that's made out of chametz, over Pesach, over Passover, so it has to be sold to a non-Jew. And the priest of that town was a big anti-Semite, and decided that he told all the non-Jews that even though every year he allows them to buy it off this Jew for Pesach, over Passover, and then gives it back, and the Jew pays him money for it. But this year I don't want anyone to do it, because whoever buys chametz for a Jew over Pesach, all the Jews' sins go to him. Utterly ridiculous. But they all were good followers of this priest, and no one wanted to buy his chametz. What does one do? So he told his wife, you know what, we're going to go to Primishlan for Yantif. And everything that he had in his house and everything he made hefka, he said it's not mine anymore. There's such a concept in halacha. And he just left his house and left for Yantif. Came to Rebbe Mishlana and told him what he did, and he said, Rebbe, I'm sure that when I come back, nothing's going to be left, because they'll find out that I'm not there for Yantif, and they'll just steal everything. Rebbe Mishlana didn't say anything. He had a beautiful Yantif by the Rebbe, and after Yantif, when he went to say goodbye to the Rebbe, to Rebbe Mishlana, wrote a kvittel, and Rebbe Mishlana said, don't worry, everything is intact. No one went in, you're not missing anything, not your personal things and not your whiskey and nothing, because I sent special angels to protect your house. And the reason why I didn't tell you that I'm going to do it before Yantif, before the holiday, was because I thought that if I would tell you that, then maybe you wouldn't make it hefka, you wouldn't make it not yours, because it's a halachic concept, with your full heart, and that way you'll transgress the sin of having chametz in your possession. So I want you to do it with your full heart, and after Yantif, you were also rewarded that Hashem helped that nothing was stolen.